Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tracking the legal nightmare of our favorite market menace, Trey the Trader. You see, Trey got greedy. He just got caught illegally hoarding and front-running ornamental gourds. It's a completely absurd scheme. He's literally sitting on a mountain of decorative squash. But the regulators? Yeah, they're not laughing. So what exactly happens to Trey now? How does this whole disciplinary process actually work from the moment he's caught all the way to the final gavel? Let's get into it. But really quick, this explainer is brought to you by CertFuel. If you want to avoid your own exam day disasters, they've got a full Series 3 course with adaptive study quizzes, smart flashcards, and unlimited practice exams weighted just like the real thing. Check it out at certfuel.com. All right, back to Trey's massive predicament. Okay, let's dive into this process. You can think of this as the disciplinary funnel. It's the clean, literal chain of events that Trey is going to be dragged through for his gourd hoarding violations. It starts with a complaint from the Business Conduct Committee, or BCC. Then it moves down to a hearing with a hearing panel. After that, there's an option for an appeal to the Appeals Committee. And finally, a potential review by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, or CFTC. It is basically a one-way street with a few very specific off-ramps. Let's look at step 1 and 2, the complaint and the hearing. When Trey is first accused, we need to know exactly who is charging him and separately who is actually deciding his punishment. This is absolutely crucial because they are not the same people. On the left, we have the Business Conduct Committee, the BCC. They are the prosecutors. Their only job is to bring the complaint against Trey. But on the right, we have the hearing panel. They are the fact finders and the first-level decision makers. So remember, the group that prosecutes the case is a totally different body from the group that actually decides the penalty. In official legal terms, Trey the Trader is what we call the respondent. He's the charged member or associate, and simply because he's been charged, he is entitled to his day in court, meaning a hearing. At this hearing, the hearing panel is going to take evidence from both sides. They'll sift through all the trading records for those hoarded gourds, they'll weigh the facts, and then they issue a written decision. That written decision will state their findings on each specific charge, pinpoint exactly which requirement Trey violated, and lay out any penalty they're imposing. Now let's talk about the off-ramp, offers to settle. So Trey is sitting there sweating, right? He's realizing the evidence against his ornamental gourd scheme is totally airtight. Does he really have to sit through a full, agonizing hearing? No. A case doesn't actually have to reach a hearing at all. Trey can propose to resolve the complaint early by submitting a written offer of settlement. And what's incredibly appealing about this for Trey is that a settlement can be accepted on a neither admit nor deny basis. This means Trey agrees to take his medicine, he accepts the penalty, but he never legally has to admit that he broke the rules. Just keep this fact locked in. A settled case never reaches a hearing. It's an alternative to the hearing, not a step within it. But let's say Trey panics, throws out a settlement offer, and then an hour later, he changes his mind. He decides he wants to fight it out like a gladiator. Okay, pause this explainer right here. Answer this for me. Can Trey the Trader just withdraw his settlement offer if he changes his mind? Wait a second, lock in your answer. Exam trap? The answer is an absolute no. Once submitted, a settlement offer cannot be withdrawn by the respondent. Do not let the exam trick you into thinking Trey has buyer's remorse privileges here. If the deciding body looks at his offer and rejects it, well then the offer becomes null and void. But Trey cannot simply pull it back on his own initiative. Once it's out of his hands, it's out of his hands. So if Trey does want to settle, who does he actually hand that written offer to? Well, look at this table, because it depends entirely on how deep into the funnel he currently is. If he tries to settle right out of the gate, before his official answer to the complaint is even filed, the offer goes straight to the Business Conduct Committee, the BCC. But if he waits and files his answer, the case has moved forward, right? So now the offer goes to the hearing panel. And if he goes through the whole hearing, loses, and tries to settle while on appeal, you guessed it, the offer goes to the Appeals Committee. The settlement off-ramp is always there, but the toll booth operator changes depending on how far down the road you've driven. That brings us to the 15-day appeal process. Let's imagine Trey refuses to settle. He goes to the hearing panel drops the hammer on him, and he completely hates their written decision. What are his options? He can appeal. 15. Burn this number into your memory right now. If Trey wants to fight the adverse decision from the hearing panel, he must file a written notice of appeal within exactly 15 days of the decision. 15 days. That is his window. No exceptions. So, Trey rushes and files his written appeal on day 14. Here's another quick question for you. Go ahead and pause this explainer. If Trey files his appeal, Does he still have to pay his penalty right now, while the appeal is actively happening? Think about the mechanics of how that would work. The short answer is no, he doesn't pay right now. Filing the appeal automatically stays or pauses the effective date of the disciplinary order. The penalty does not take effect while the appeal is pending. But appealing is incredibly dangerous. Why? Because the appeals committee doesn't just have the power to decrease or set aside the penalty. They can also increase it. Trey could walk into that appeal hoping to get a smaller fine and walk out with an even more massive penalty for his gourd hoarding. Talk about a backfire. Let's do one more quick check before we move on. Pause this explainer again. Who exactly hears Trey's appeal? Think back to the very first step of our funnel. Does it go back to the Business Conduct Committee? Exam trap. The test makers are absolutely going to try to bait you by swapping these committee names. The body that charged the case in the first place, the Business Conduct Committee, never hears the appeal. The appeal goes to a completely separate third group, the Appeals Committee. I know it sounds simple, but don't let them trip you up on the terminology when the clock is ticking. Finally, let's look at the federal bridge. So Trey has been charged, he had his hearing, he rolled the dice on an appeal, and let's say the Appeals Committee still crushed him. Is there anywhere else for him to turn? Actually, yes. After the association's entire internal self-regulatory process is completely exhausted, the disciplinary action is subject to review by the federal regulator, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, or CFTC. If Trey is still an aggrieved person, he can try to take his case to the CFTC. This is the bridge that moves the case out of the industry's self-regulatory track and directly into the federal enforcement track. Now, to keep all these moving parts straight, the source material gives us a brilliant exact memory aid. I want you to read this on screen and lock it in word for word. B, Business Conduct Committee brings the case, meaning they prosecute. H, Hearing Panel hears it and decides. A, Appeals Committee handles the appeal. B brings, H hears, A appeals. If you just keep those bolded letters aligned in your mind, you will never get the committee swapped on test day. So we've seen Trey the Trader get caught, prosecuted, judged, and dragged all the way up to the federal level. But the real question is, will you remember the mechanics of this funnel when exam day actually arrives? Can you successfully navigate the traps around settlements and appeals? Take the vivid disaster of Trey's ornamental gourds, apply this exact chain of events to your practice exams, and you'll be more than ready for whatever tricks they throw at you. Keep studying, stay focused, and we'll see you in the next explainer.